Welcome back to the show. Lots of exciting things happening at the Canadian Museum of Nature. Listen, we've talked about it on the show many times. It's just a wonderful spot for people to go. And the good news is with back to school, it means some of the back to school workshops are back in place in person and virtually. Here to tell us more about it, I'm joined by Marcus Winchester, Education Programs Leader at the museum. Welcome.
Thank you, Tarek. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks
it's great to have you here. I mean, as I said, back to in person. First of all, just as a team, I know you have a wonderful team there that are so interactive and fun. They must be excited to be back.
My goodness, yeah. We've been doing the homework without the kids for the last 2-3 years. So it's so wonderful to be back in the museum and so wonderful to be able to bring schools back in person.
Yeah, and you've kept it, right? You've kept the virtual. So many industries turn to virtual. I think you guys were doing it anyway, but I think you've implemented more of it, and you're going to keep that portion, aren't you?
We hope so. It really allows the museum to be Canada's national museum of natural history. It allows us to have a reach across the country and reach kids. Last year we went from British Columbia to Newfoundland to Nunavut, so we really got the whole coast to coast to coast.
Nice.
Yeah,
I love it. Well, let's talk about some of the workshops. So let's go through some of the topics and titles. One is called Life in Tide Pools. Tell me a little bit about this workshop.
Sure. So the topic is the life in tide pools. The programs have different names. We have Coastal Adventure, which is the virtual tide pool experience, and we have the Discovery Tank experience, which is the in-person museum version of that same program. And this Discovery Tank is really the gem of the museum's crown, or the new gem anyway, in the crown. It's this aquarium, shallow aquarium basin where we can stand around and look at live animals from the Pacific coast and really get up close and personal with them.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, what have you brought here today? This looks like I may find it in the aquarium when I visit the Museum of Nature.
That's right. So this is a sea star. It's called a leather star. This is Larry. Not sure if it's a boy or girl though.
Larry the leather star.
Might be Larissa. And this is an amazing animal. It looks pretty innocuous. It looks, friendly enough, but it's a ferocious predator. I'd like to take 30 seconds if you'll let me just talk about. So these are blue mussels, blue mussel shells. There's nothing in them anymore, but this is the same type of mussel you buy at the grocery store. Okay, right. And this is a very common prey of this predator, of this leather star. And the leather stars, because they need to hold on tight to the rocks so they don't get washed away by the waves, their food source has to be whatever they can climb on top of. Gotcha. So this leather star will move its way, manipulate its way over top of this, and then rather than putting food in its mouth, it actually ejects its stomach out of its mouth. So if you imagine if its stomach is on the underside, it will spew out its guts and weasel its way into the tiniest little crack in these clams or mussels or oysters, whatever it may be, and digest that animal in situ, and then sort of slurp all that back in.
That is incredible.
It's wild.
That's just amazing. I had no idea. This is why you have these workshops, because you get to blow young people's minds and old people. Let's talk Arctic habitats. That's another topic.
So we have the Discovery Tank experience in person. Arctic habitats is the other in-person workshop at the museum. It happens in the Arctic Gallery of the museum, and students get to explore real specimens of fur and whale baleen and polar bear skulls and all kinds of cool things where they learn about these interrelationships between these Arctic animals, how they survive, not only the cold, but each other.
Yeah, of course.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Predator and prey. Rock and mineral exploration. You've brought some samples here with you today.
Yeah, I'll confess that when I first started at the museum, I was more into the live things than I was the rocks and minerals. But really, I've come to appreciate these so much. They tell incredible stories about how our planet formed and is forming now and will continue to change and form in the future. And we're part of that big story. So for me, these are storytellers, and I find the humanity in them now because I'm part of this big story. So let me show you one cool thing here. So this is, I want you to hold this just for a second. What do you notice about that? Maybe
really light.
Really
like
light.
It doesn't even feel like a stone.
That's right. So you're holding a piece of pumice, which is, maybe you know it from the pharmacy, like a pumice to scrub your feet.
Oh, yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Exactly. And that has a very spongy texture because when it came out of a volcano, it was a frothy magma. There was gas in the lava that kept those bubbles when it cooled down. And so now, if you'll do me the honors, would you drop that
Put it in there?
Yeah,
Okay.
Ta-da! I don't know if you can see that.
A stone that floats.
Stone that floats. Give me a break.
My
so
goodness.
this is a volcanic rock, and this one you can really see those bubbles quite clearly. So those are the gas bubbles that got trapped when that lava cooled down after it came out of a volcano.
Okay, so that's what creates those little bubbles.
Exactly.
Very cool.
It's like a froth that turned into a solid.
What about this piece? I mean, this is one I think, I just think of, sometimes walking in stores down in the market, right? And stones and crystals and rocks like these jump out at you, right?
Sure. These are very common as tourist souvenirs, for sure.
Yeah.
This is a piece of amethyst. This is a mineral, meaning it's like one of the rock-forming ingredients, right?
Okay.
Rocks are lots of minerals. This is one mineral, and it's actually the same stuff chemically as sand. Quartz plus a little bit of impurity gives you this beautiful purple color. So the stuff on the beaches is chemically, anyway, the chemical ingredients are very, very similar to this. And it's just about how long it cooks in the earth, at what temperature, and in exactly what chemical recipe you form, and what comes out is all these wonders of nature. Rocks and minerals are nature's way of expressing itself through solids.
Marcus, before we run out of time, if people at home, watching and they're thinking about, wow, this would be amazing to have in my child's school, how do they get in touch with you?
Amazing. Thank you for asking. I can get off track, can't I? Nature.ca/education. You can learn all about the programs. You can submit a request for a reservation. We do workshops that aren't designed necessarily to teach the whole curriculum. Our job is to be that spark of curiosity, to get you excited about learning, provoke you to think in a new way, and we're really good at it. We want you to bring your kids to the museum, or tell your teachers, tell your kids' teachers to come to the museum, or book virtually if you live outside of Ottawa.
Wonderful. Real pleasure having you, Marcus. I've learned so much in such a short period of time. We'll be back with more Daytime right after this. Don't go anywhere.